Audio.etc. is proudly supported by Auto Sound and Security. Good morning, how's it going guys? James here at Audio.etc. Continuing on the Audi still. So yes, last night the amp and subwoofer kind of blew up. So they're getting sent away to be replaced or repaired. Hopefully we're going to get some new stuff on the way. I think there might be an issue with the subwoofer stock, like they may not have it, but we'll see what happens. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Today I need to keep working on it to get some stuff done, so I'm going to do the rear speakers today if I can, hopefully bang them out. Flax PS165 FX, same as in the front, and same as in the front I'm going to botch mount the woofer into the factory pod. The reason I like to doing that on this car is because it's got these really nice rubber sealing rings which seal the woofer to the door card. All the sound comes out of the door. I really like that. No, we don't have speed rings here, or whatever they're called, those nice tall foam rings. I wish we had a supplier who had them, but I don't think anyone that we have does those. So that's why I'm putting more effort into using these. Otherwise I would probably just make some wooden baffles, space them out, and then put a great big foam ring on them, but we don't have anyone who does that. So basically I'm going to do exactly what I did with the front speakers. I couldn't find any more of the big pile of spacer rings that we have. I couldn't find any more of the metal ones that I used on the front speakers, but I did manage to find coincidentally only one pair of these ones here, which are big wide plastic ones, and these are the only ones really wide enough to sort of be good enough to sandwich it on there. Because the way I do it, or the way I did it with the front ones, I rip all of the woofer out of here, the voice coil, the magnet, all of that shit comes out. I file the back side of this down so it's nice and flat and smooth. The front of this part of the woofer, it goes in that way and sits on that surface, but by the time I've done filing it's quite thin, and so I didn't want to just put screws or nuts and bolts just straight through it, and also the screw holes kind of line up with this 45-degree angle anyway. So what I did in the front, and what I'm doing here, is I have the woofer through there, and then I have like something like this on the front with nuts and bolts going through it all and sandwiching it all to the pod and tightening it down. And that way the woofer is secure in the pod, and we get to still use this nice rubber gasket or ring which seals it to the door. We can use the factory mounting points that will just bolt straight back on, and we can use the factory terminals as well, because I can solder these terminals to those ones with some wire, and then we can just plug in for the woofer, and it works pretty well. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to try, and I think I'll get the first one done, see how it goes. Now I'm not sure, I may have to file this whole thing a bit shorter, like file down these raised pieces and this edge. It is going to have to go this way around rather than this way, because I've found that unless I get it exactly centered, if I push down this way, one side tends to fall over the rubber like that. So I'm putting it this way up, and I don't think I'll be using these holes either, because I thought at first that they did line up, but they're actually just slightly out by like maybe 2 mils or 3. So I'll probably end up rotating it around and just drilling new holes to put the nuts through. The bolts will go through a washer, through this, through the pod, through the woofer, and then a washer and a nut on the other side. A spring washer and a nut, I should say. But yeah, I'm not sure whether or not, I had a look, and this comes quite close to the front of the, what would be the word, of the door card grill. I might try and do it without filing this down first, because if I can get away without having to put all the work into fixing this thing, then that'd be great. But if it turns out I can't quite get the door card on because this thing is just too tall, then I will have to take it all apart again and file this thing down either the whole way to the flat surface or like halfway or something. But that's what I'm going to try and do today. It's going to be a long sort of process, and now that you guys know what I'm doing, there's no need for me to explain it as I go, so I'm just going to time lapse it, and maybe this will give you a better view of how I did the front ones, because I feel like I didn't really film doing the front ones that well. I kind of went away and did it off camera because I had to figure out how I was going to do it as well, but at least this time I know what I'm doing. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Pretty tough. I just realized I should have unsoldered those first. So, there's the tiny little voice coil. Spider, magnet, jigsaw these out, file this all down. Sweet. Okay, there we go guys, I got one done. Took a few tries and different modifications here and there, but I got it done in the end. So, modified the pod the same way I did the front ones, and then for this front panel trim thing, what I ended up doing, because I originally was going to have it upside down like this, and have separate holes, but I actually figured out, even though these holes and these bits are slightly off, I was actually able to get the bolts through them anyway, just on a slight angle. And the reason I just did that was because it was stronger than what I originally tried with them in separate holes out here. This was flexing quite a lot. And then I ended up flipping it over so that these stronger bits could be inside the gap there, filling it in so that it's not like just bending it down really hard. But what I had to do was file a 45-degree angle on these pieces so that they sat against the original speaker pod, you know, like almost exactly right, and then filed this whole edge off so that it didn't affect this rubber membrane, because before it was like pushing it in. So yeah, it's all good. It's basically just a flat disc with some standoff points with 45-degree angles on them, and then the bolts go all the way through. On top there is a spring washer and a washer, and then underneath goes through the woofer, and then there's another washer, spring washer, and a nut. Here's the connections, soldered the connections together, and then this end just goes in here. These tongues go in first, like that, and then the front just clips down, and that's good to go. So this can go in the car now, and it's quite good because I don't think it's going to be too tall for it to be in here. Like if I test fit this, yeah, I think that'll fit just fine. Oops, upside down. Goes that way. Sweet. Pretty sure I accidentally put the wrong screws down here. These screws that I put in here are meant to go hold the speaker in. So I'll just quickly take these out. Okay. So now this can just go right there. Just like that. OEM. 1, 2, and 3. Done. There we go. And then this will just plug into here. These wires will get cut here. The ones on the plug will go to the crossover, and the ones here will go to the input side of the crossover. Which on this door I might actually be able to mount here, because on the front doors there was like nowhere for me to mount it, and I had to put it in the door card. But in the rear doors I might actually be able to put the crossover on the door, which would be ideal, and then we'd only need a connector for the tweeter. That would be handy. Handy dandy. So that's probably what's up next, is figuring out the crossover.
A few inches later.
Okay, update guys, the right rear door is almost done. It's pretty much for the most part, you know, ready to be assembled, but I can't do that just yet because I'm just waiting on some RTV to dry. So all I really have left to do is wait overnight for this RTV, which is holding the new tweeter in, to dry. And then I can loom this wire in with the factory one with the Tessa tape all the way down to about here it reaches. Put a couple crimps on the end. And then, so here's what I've done. So the crossover, I tried a few different places around here, and this really was the best position I could put it in, because it only really gets secured by this screw and this screw. These ones aren't screw holes, actually. It's a bit foolish. So you only secure it with these two, and this was the best place I could put it, where it was on a relatively flat position, because there's a big bar behind here which was causing it to rock, and if you tighten up the two corner screws too much, the whole bottom panel actually bends. So I didn't want to do that and put it up like this and have it rocking or anything like that. Down here, it's out of the way. I'm pretty sure the door card's going to go on fine. But anyway, all of the wires are crimped into the position, Tessa taped, cable tied at this point here to the door so it can't flap or rattle. The woofer wires are connected about here under the Tessa tape. They're soldered and heat shrunk. And then the factory wires, which are just here, go in and they're soldered and heat shrunk to these wires as well. And everything, then I Tessa taped over the whole lot. These are the crimps for the tweeter, which is where those silver wires I pointed out are going to plug into. And then the door will go on and it'll be sorted. So this door is pretty much done, and I can finish it off tomorrow. So what I'm going to do with the rest of my day is start on the left one. Take the door card off, take the woofer out, start gutting it and getting the woofer the new Flax woofer mounted in there. Hopefully I'll get up to the same stage as where I'm at with this one for that door. Oh, and so update with the gear that broke. It better have been taken away. I think it's been shipped. Yep, the box is gone. So our suppliers are sending us a replacement amplifier, because we need that ASAP, because I want to get that in. But they don't have the subwoofer in stock. So for the subwoofer, the customer may have to wait a wee bit. It's annoying. But what I'm thinking I'll do, maybe, in the time being between now and when he can get the subwoofer that he originally wanted, we might loan him this old Alpine Type S 10-inch that we have in stock. We have had it for a while. Just a wee cheap one, 300 watt RMS, 6,000 watts max, so it should be able to handle the power from the amp. And it's a classic big hanging thing. I'll mount it to the bottom of the tray. I'll mount it the same way as, oh wait, I don't know actually, because it does mount differently. Maybe, that's a maybe. I'm just thinking, like, you know, for the customer's sake in the time being when he doesn't have a subwoofer, you know. If that's possible, then great. It may not be, depending on the mounting situation, because that is all set up for the Rockford Fosgate one, you know. But yeah, that's where we're at. Hopefully the amplifier will arrive tomorrow morning. I've been stressing to our suppliers that it needs to arrive tomorrow morning so that I can get it in tomorrow. I hope maybe I'll get the car done tomorrow. That would be awesome. Obviously the subwoofer wouldn't be done, but if I could get it done tomorrow, that would be great, because I'm not here Friday or Saturday, and that means the car has to stay over another weekend just for the job to be done. And the customer is really, really nice. He says take all the time you need, but even when they're like that, I don't like making them wait too long, you know. You gotta be not going at a snail's pace, especially because at the moment we know he is limited just to his wife's car, so we don't want to, you know, be putting him out. But that's where I'm at. I'm going to start on the rear left door now. I do still have to run these speaker wires. They have to go along the factory track and up to the factory speaker wire connections. I do still have to do that, but that's something else I'm hoping to get done tomorrow. If I get the left door up to the same stage as what I've got that one, where I'm just waiting on RTV to dry, and then I can just quickly put some crimps on and Tessa tape it and put it back together, then I'll be able to do the wire running tomorrow and hopefully tuning the amp and mounting it in and calling it a done deal. That's what I'm hoping for. So moving on, time to do the rear left door. Yeah. back. There we go, guys. Back doors are officially done. All the speakers are officially done. Wired up inside there, the crossovers and tweeters, everything's done. So now all I have to do, I've got tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday to work on this car. All I have to do is connect up these speaker wires, which are down here, to their respective speakers. This one will go down in the track and connect, oh, I made this a bit short, didn't I? And connect to the speaker wire before in the B pillar here for this one. And then the long one will go all the way up front and connect to the wires in the kick panel. That, and I have to pretty much hopefully receive the new amplifier, mount it up there, well, tune it, mount it up there, call it done. Then that's all there is to do, apart from installing a new subwoofer when we get that. So yeah, that's where I'm at, that's what I got done today. Guys, shorter video, I know, because I did mostly time-lapse, but I just wanted to get the job done. I've worked late, it's like 10 to 6 now, so I've worked later than usual, so I just want to get this job done. Thank you guys for watching today's video. Choose to be happy, and I will catch you tomorrow. Kite Ano.